right, welcome to another round of an educative section with your vector tutor. Okay, so right now we'll be starting with, of course, supportive system, supportive tissues, supportive organs. Okay, all right. Now let's look at supporting system. Supporting system. Okay, we have various type of supporting system, but basically we have three types. Okay, you have the hydrostatic skeleton, you have the exoskeleton, and of course the endoskeleton. All right, now hydrostatic skeleton. Okay, hydrostatic skeleton, you see, this skeleton is the type of skeleton you find in soft bodied invertebrates. Okay, you find them in soft body invertebrate. They are they are more or less like a pseudo skeleton. Okay, they're not true solid skeleton. All right. Okay, now you see, this skeleton, okay, this particular skeleton is taken over by fluid under pressure, right? This skeleton is taken over by fluid under pressure. Okay, now the fluid is what functions as the hydrostatic skeleton. Of course, you know the meaning of the word the hydro. You know the meaning of the word hydro. No, hydro means water. All right. Now the skeleton is what taken over by fluid. So you see the reason why I said is more or less like a pseudo skeleton. All right. Now, animals you can find this skeleton. Of course, the earthworm. The earthworm. Um, you can also find it in sea animals. Okay, you can find it in sea animals. All right. Now, in the earthworm, okay, circular and longitudinal muscles in the body wall contract against the coelomic fluid in the body cavity. All right, and now that's it about the hydroskeleton. Let's go to the second type of supporting system. We have second type of skeleton. We have the exoskeleton. Okay, we have the exoskeleton. You see, this exoskeleton is what you find in arthropods. All right, what you find in arthropods. Okay, now you see this skeleton is a hard cuticle. Okay, and it lies outside the muscles. All right, it lies outside the muscles. That's why they are called exoskeleton. Exo outside, exo outside. All right, lies outside the muscles. All right, if exoskeleton lies outside the muscles, which skeleton lies in the muscles? Yeah, you are very right, is the endoskeleton. Okay, now see, a unique feature about this exoskeleton is that during growth of animals possessing exoskeleton, all right, there's what we call shedding shedding of this exoskeleton. All right, this shedding is caused by a process called ecdysis. Okay, ecdysis or molting. Ecdysis or molting. All right, now during growth, as the animal grows, okay, the exoskeletons begins to shed off. All right, begins to shed off by a process called what? Ecdysis. Okay, now it will interest you to note that this exoskeleton, all right, is tough and the joint is made by chitin. Okay, the joint is made by chitin. All right, let's go to the last type of skeleton we have. Okay, we have the endoskeleton. Okay, the endoskeleton. All right, now why do we call this endoskeleton? Simply because the skeleton they are found inside the muscle. Okay, inside the muscles. All right. Now, is this type of skeleton you find in humans? Okay, you find in other mammals. All right, you find this endoskeleton. Sorry, you find them in skeletal animals. They are more or less the true skeleton. All right. Now, unlike the exoskeleton, the endoskeleton does not shed off during growth. Okay, the endoskeleton does not shed off during growth. All right, now that we know about the skeleton, let's check some certain terms. All right, now the cartilage. Okay, the cartilage. See, this cartilage is a dense non-vascular connective tissue. All right, and they have cells embedded in hard organic, okay, hard organic matrix, and this hard organic matrix is called chondrine. This hard organic matrix is called the chondrine, and this chondrine, they are embedded cells, okay, called what? The chondroblast. They have embedded cells called the chondroblast. All right. Now, the cartilage is what makes up the pinna of your ear. Okay, the pinna of your ear. All right. Now we have the bone. Okay, the bone, which everybody knows about. All right. Now you see, this bone is much more harder than a cartilage. All right, it is much more harder than a cartilage. Now, the bone has an organic matrix also, but this organic matrix is impregnated. Okay, this organic matrix of the bone has calcium salt. All right, the organic matrix of the bone has calcium salt, making it comparably harder than cartilage. Okay, all right. Now we know different functions of the skeleton. Skeleton provides support. Okay, the skeleton provide protection. All right, for movement. Okay, the skeleton serves as point of attachment to muscles responsible for movement through the tendons. Okay, and production of blood cells. All right, you will want to ask, how does the skeleton, okay, helps in the production of blood cells? Okay, now it is easy. Where's the red blood cell being produced? Okay, being produced where? In the bone marrow. All right, so red blood cells, they are produced in the bone marrow of your skeleton before they are being sent to your circulatory system. All right, let's look at another important supporting structure called what? The joint. Okay, the joint, as the name implies, is simply where two or more bones meet. Okay, where two or more bones meet. All right, now you see, two bones, they are joined together by a tough elastic connective tissue called the ligament. All right, while muscles are joined together, okay, by the tendons. All right, so simply put, bone to bone equals ligament, while muscle to bone equals tendon. Quickly, let's look at the types of joints, the basic types of joints we have. Okay, now you see, we have the ball and the socket joint. Okay, the ball and the socket joint. This ball and socket joint, they are found in the shoulder. Okay, and they are found in the hip. All right, the ball and socket joint, they are found in the shoulder and in the hip. All right, now note, human anatomy says the head of the humerus, all right, fits into the glenoid cavity of pectoral girdle, and the head of the femur fits into the acetabulum of the pelvic girdle. All right, the head of the humerus fits into the glenoid cavity okay, of the pectoral girdle, while the head of the femur fits into the acetabulum of the pelvic girdle. Okay, if you are conversant with biology and human anatomy, you will note, or you will know rather, that the humerus, okay, is analogous to the femur, all right, of the pelvic region of your body. Okay, very good. Now let's proceed. You see, this ball and socket joint allows movement in several directions, okay, in several directions. All right, now we have another type of joint called the hinge joint. The hinge joint, okay, the hinge joint allows movement in a plane, okay, in a plane or in a single direction as found in the elbow and the knee. All right, now you take your elbow, all right, your elbow. If you swing your elbow, you will notice that the direction there is in a plane, okay, unlike the ball and the socket joint where you can swing to any direction. You can only swing your elbow in one direction. All right, you can swing your elbow in one direction. All right, yes, okay, so when you are swinging your elbow, all right, is either you are supinating, you are pronating, okay, or you are flexing or extending. All right, now the plane is simply either, okay, if you're flowing with me, you are practicalizing it, is either, all right, you are extending your muscle or your elbow. In this context, you are flexing them, pronating them, or supinating them. All right, now we have the third type of joint called the gliding, or what, the sliding joint. As the name implies, it allows bones to slide over each other as found in the wrist, okay, as found in the wrist and the ankle. In the wrist and the ankle, okay, it allows them to slide or glide, okay, over one another. Okay, and where can you find them? In the wrist, okay, and in the ankle. All right, you have the last type of joint called the pivot joint. The pivot joint, okay, now this is the joint that allows rotation of certain parts of the body, okay, allows rotation of certain parts of the body. All right, now look at it. Here can this pivot joint be found? It can be found, all right, can be found in the atlas and in the axis. Okay, can be found in the atlas and in the axis. Before we proceed, let's quickly take this type of joint and where they can be found. All right, so Virtual Tutor told you that we have the ball and the socket joint, and this ball and socket joint can be found in the shoulder, okay, and in the hip. All right, can be found in the shoulder and in the hip. The hinge joint can be found where? In the elbow and the knee. Okay, the gliding joint can be found where? All right, the wrist and the ankle. Okay, the pivot joint can be found where? Very good, the atlas and the axis. Okay, now supporting tissues in plant. Okay, supporting tissues in plant. So in primary biology, we have three main supporting tissues in plant. All right, we have the parenchyma, the cloenchyma, and of course the sclerenchyma. Okay, the parenchyma, cloenchyma, and sclerenchyma. You might want to need your book and your pen for this. All right, now very good. Now parenchyma. Okay, parenchyma, what does it imply? Parenchyma is simply, okay, a packing tissue made of thin walled cell with a central vacuole in each. Okay, the parenchyma is simply a packing tissue made of thin walled cells with a central vacuole in each. In the last video, I explained what vacuole is, alright? What vacuole is, alright? Now, what is the function of this parenchyma? Simple. It provides flexibility. It provides flexibility. Now, think about it, alright? Think about it. It's not difficult to grasp. Okay? It's not difficult to grasp. Now, parenchyma provide flexibility. If parenchyma provide flexibility, then how should the structure of this particular tissue be? Okay, note, a structure providing flexibility should not have a thick cell wall, or a rigid cell wall. Okay, why? Because it provides flexibility. So thus it should be having a thin wall. Alright, so parenchyma thin wall provide flexibility. Thin wall providing flexibility. Now chloenchyma, alright, unlike parenchyma, chloenchyma, they have thick walls. Okay, they have thick walls. Alright, and they are pronounced at the corners, okay, of these plants. All right, now what's the function of chloenchyma? They provide mechanical support, okay, for the plant. All right, we have the last supporting tissue, which also has a thick, rigid cell. Okay, the walls of this last supporting tissue is thick, okay, and rigid. We call it what? The sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma provide rigidity, resilience, and hardness. Okay, that's the main function, or those are the functions rather of the sclerenchyma. All right. Okay, so continue with nervous coordination. Okay, before we forge ahead, we need to understand certain terms. Okay, certain terms. Now, starting with coordination. Okay, this coordination is brought about by hormones. All right, and these hormones, they are secreted by ductless gland. Okay, now these ductless glands, they are also known as endocrine glands. Okay, why are endocrine glands called ductless gland, or why is ductless gland called a ductless gland? It is called so because their secretions, okay, diffuses directly into the blood. All right, and when the secretion is diffused into the blood circulates all over the body, taking them to their target organs. Okay, now another term we need to understand is the pituitary gland. Okay, the pituitary gland. Okay, now this gland is also called the master gland. Okay, it's called the master gland, and this master gland is located at the base of the brain. Why is it located there? It is located there because it produces several hormones which stimulate or inhibit the other endocrine gland. Alright, now the pituitary gland is called what? The master gland. Okay, now it controls the rate of growth, okay, and excessive secretions produces gigantism, okay, and inadequate pituitary, all right, resulting in dwarfism. Okay, another term we need to understand is the thyroid gland. Okay, the thyroid gland is located in the neck. All right. Now, the thyroid gland secretes thyroxine. Okay, and this thyroxine is an iodine-containing amino acid. Okay. Now, do not forget, pituitary gland is the master gland and is located at the base of the brain. Okay, it produces the pituitary. All right. Now we have the thyroid gland located in the neck. Okay, it secretes thyroxine. Okay. Now let's go to another term we need to understand. All right, now the adrenal gland. Okay, this adrenal gland is located above the kidney. Okay, the adrenal gland is located above the kidney, and this adrenal gland produces two hormones. Okay, the adrenaline and the noradrenaline. Okay, it produces the adrenaline and noradrenaline. All right, now what's the function of this adrenaline? The adrenaline quickens the heartbeat in times of dangers. So the adrenaline is also called what? The flight or fright hormone. Okay, the flight or fright hormone. All right, it is triggered during times of danger, okay, injury or hunger. Okay, now this adrenaline increases the rate of oxidation of carbohydrate so that more energy will be produced. All right, more energy will be produced, but after the effect of adrenaline, there is promotion of anxiety. All right, there's promotion of anxiety. Okay, now the noradrenaline stimulates the contraction of the arterioles, okay, thereby increasing blood pressure. All right, it stimulates the contraction of the arterioles, increasing blood pressure. Okay, now we have the pancreas, also called islet of Langerhans, also called eye of Langerhans. All right, now what hormone does this pancreas secrete? It secretes the insulin. Okay, secretes the insulin, and this insulin determines how much sugar is converted to glycogen and how much is oxidized for energy. All right, now this insulin is what will determine your diabetic level. Okay, now it controls and determines how much sugar is converted to glycogen. In a situation where your insulin is failing, your pancreas is failing, okay, where your pancreas is failing and is unable, okay, to convert sugar to glycogen, there is tendency for your body to accumulate more sugar. All right, thereby leading to diabetes mellitus. Okay, leading to diabetes mellitus, which is high diabetes. All right, accumulation of high sugar in your blood. Okay, and when your insulin level is higher and is working, is converting more glycogen than the accumulation of sugar in your level, in your body level rather. Okay, now there's tendency for your body to be suffering from diabetes insipidus, which is low blood sugar level. All right, now deficiency of insulin, as I said earlier, causes diabetes. All right, deficiency of insulin causes diabetes, not necessarily the accumulation of more sugar in your body. Accumulation of more sugar in your body, okay, has the tendency of causing dysentery. Okay, but where your insulin is deficient, there is a very high tendency for your body to be suffering from diabetes mellitus. Okay, and now when you have diabetes mellitus, okay, what is the regular treatment for it? Just insulin injection, okay, controls the disease. All right, now we have the gonads. All right, hormones produced in the gonads. Okay, and these gonads, if you understand biology, okay, is simply referring to the testes and the ovaries. Okay, and now the hormones produced there controls sexual maturity, development, secondary sexual characteristics and activities. All right, now the testis secretes testosterone. Okay, it secretes testosterone, and this testosterone triggers the secondary characteristic found in adult males. Okay, and is essential for spermatogenesis. All right, and now the follicle in the ovaries on the other hand produces several hormones, all right, called the estrogen. All right, the estrogen produces the development of secondary characteristics in adolescent female and also participate in monthly preparation of the body for possible pregnancy. All right, okay, so we'll move over to plant growth hormones. All right, now the principal plant hormone, okay, is the auxin. All right, the auxin stimulates the formation of adventitious root, okay, in many species of plants. All right, now these adventitious roots, the development is hastened by pretreating the cotton in solutions or powders containing synthetic auxin. All right, good. Now we have the ethylene. Okay, now uh, this ethylene is a plant growth hormone that is involved with ripening of fruits. Okay, now the principal function of the ethylene is to ripen fruits. All right, we have other plant hormones such as the gibberellins and the cytokinins. Okay, now let's move over to nervous coordination. Okay, still on the RHEMA. All right, we have the CNS. The central nervous system. This central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. All right, the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, now the brain and the spinal cord, they are covered with three protective membranes. Okay, three protective membranes: an inner membrane, an outer membrane, and a membrane line in the middle. Okay, now this membrane collectively they are called meninges. Okay, these membranes collectively they are called meninges. All right, now the inner membrane is called the pia mater. Okay, the middle membrane is called the arachoid matter, okay, and the outer membrane is called the dura mater. You can just simply put the PAD, okay, for memorization. PAD, inner pia, middle arachnoid, and the outer dura, okay, and do not forget collectively they are called the meninges. Okay, now the brain is divided into three regions. All right, you have the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. All right, the forebrain is the cerebrum, okay, which is the largest part of the brain, the cerebrum. All right, now the median fissure, okay, divides the cerebrum into two halves. All right, and these two halves they are connected by the corpus callosum. Okay, the halves they are connected by the corpus callosum. Okay, now the left cerebral hemisphere controls the right side of the body, while the right cerebral hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Okay, now each cerebral hemisphere is divided into four parts. Okay, each cerebral hemisphere is divided into four parts, and these four parts they are the frontal, okay, the temporal, the parietal, and the occipital lobes. Okay, the frontal, temporal, parietal, and occipital lobes. Okay, now the surface of the cerebrum is gray in color. Why is it gray in color? It is because of the superficial gray matter, and it is thrown into a series of convolutions. All right, it is thrown into a series of convolution. What is the function of the cerebrum? Okay, now this cerebrum controls all voluntary actions. All right, all voluntary actions like learning, okay, thinking, imagination, any voluntary action, all right, you do is being controlled by the cerebrum. Like I'm talking now, all right, is a voluntary action. I can decide to keep my mouth shut, I can decide to open it, and now what part of the brain controls that action? Very good, the cerebrum. Okay, now the olfactory lobe and the hypothalamus, they are also located there. Okay, they are located in the forebrain. All right, now you know anything olfactory is relating to what now? The smell. Okay, it's relating to smell, linking the nose. Okay, and the hypothalamus, they are located there. All right, now let's move over to the hindbrain. Okay, now the hindbrain is small compared to the midbrain. Rather, the midbrain is small compared to the hindbrain and the forebrain. All right, now what does this midbrain do? The midbrain relays impulses between the forebrain and the hindbrain. Okay, now this hindbrain is made up of cerebellum, okay, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, the cerebellum and medulla oblongata. All right, now the cerebellum regulates and coordinates muscular movements and balance. Okay, while the medulla oblongata controls involuntary movement of the body. Okay, now vasoconstriction and vasodilation of the blood vessels, all right, as well as body temperature, okay, is being controlled by the medulla oblongata. All right, you need to understand the basic three structures, okay, the cerebrum, okay, the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. All right, while I said the cerebrum controls voluntary actions, okay, the cerebellum controls muscular coordination and movement balance. All right, while the medulla oblongata controls involuntary movement or involuntary actions. Okay, now remember I said that the central nervous system is consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Rather, now this spinal cord, okay, the spinal cord is a cross section, all right, shown as an outer portion, okay, which is the white matter, okay, and it and an inner portion, okay, which is an H-shaped gray matter. All right, you will see that in your screen. Okay, now the white matter of the spinal cord, okay, contains long myelinated nerve, okay, long myelinated nerve, and gray matter, the cell body of the neurons. Okay, now it has a central canal, and the central canal is filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which runs vertically through the gray matter. Okay, now let's understand another term, the reflex action. Reflex action. Reflex action. The reflex action, okay, is a rapid and automatic response. The reflex action, okay, is a rapid and automatic response to stimulus, all right, without the involvement of the brain, like sneezing, knee jerk, dilation, and constriction, all right, of the pupil in the eye. Okay, now the neurons involved in a reflex action constitute what we call the reflex arc. All right, now a reflex arc involves the reception, okay, of a stimulus by a receptor. It involves the reception of a stimulus by a receptor. All right, for example, take the skin, okay, which sends an impulse, all right, along a sensory fiber in a nerve that terminates in the spinal cord after entering through the dorsal root. Okay, now On reaching the spinal cord, the impulses pass across a space called the synapse. Alright, the synapse through a transmitter, a transmitter substance called the acetylcholine. Now, this initiates an impulse in an intermediate neuron. Okay, now this intermediate neuron then sends the impulse again through a synapse to initiate an impulse in a motor neuron. Alright, now the axon of the motor neuron leaves the spinal cord through the ventral root to the muscles. Alright, and these muscles, they are the effectors which contract when the impulse arrives. Now, let's break it down. You see, a neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. The neuron is the functional unit of a nervous system. All right. Now, the neuron transmits electrochemical impulses over a substantial distance. All right. Now, this neuron consists of a cell body, and this cell body has a single nucleus. Okay, now the cell body extends to form a number of branches, now one of which is produced in a long slender structure called the axon. Okay, now the axon carries impulses from the cells, okay, and terminates in the dendrites. Many axons are covered with a fatty sheet called the myelin sheath. Okay, now this myelin sheath consists of a cell membrane, alright, of surrounding Schwann cells. Okay, that's very good. Now let's forge ahead. Okay, let's forge ahead. Now we have the peripheral nervous system. We have the peripheral nervous system. Okay, the peripheral nervous system. This peripheral nervous system, the PNS, is made up of sensory and motor nerve fibers. All right, this sensory and motor nerve fiber runs to and fro. All right, to and fro the central nervous system, okay, and the rest of the body. Just as the name implies, peripheral nervous system, the nervous system that your body can actually do without. So it is made up of sensory and motor nerve fibers which run through to and from the central nervous system and the rest of the body. Okay, and it can be divided into sensory somatic nervous system and automatic nervous system. Okay, now the sensory somatic nervous system consists of cranial and spinal nerves. Okay, and they transmit impulses from the central nervous system down to the skeletal muscles of the body. Okay, sensory somatic, cranial and spinal nerves transmit impulses from CNS to the skeletal muscles of the body, while the autonomic nervous system consists of sensory and motor neurons, okay, running between the central nervous system. All right, now we have structures like the hypothalamus, okay, and various organs. The autonomic nervous system, okay, is voluntary, all right, and is divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. We have a type of reflex we call the conditioned reflex. The conditioned reflex. Okay, this conditioned reflex, their learned behavior, all right, like you walking. Okay, walking is a conditioned reflex. All right, okay, so quickly let's look at the sense organs. All right, so it's not a new thing knowing that we have five basic sense organs. All right, now let's check out the skin. Okay, the skin. All right, now the skin has nerve endings, okay, and is very sensitive to touch, pressure, pain, heat, and cold. And this is because of the presence of tactile organs called the mechanoreceptors. All right. Now, touch is detected by receptors located close to the skin, all right, near the follicles and various internal organs, called the Pacinian corpuscle. All right. Pacinian corpuscle is also called the pressure receptor. Okay. Now, massive mechanical stimulation of the skin produces the sensation of pain. Okay, massive mechanical stimulation of the skin produces pain sensation. All right, now we have an olfactory organ. All right, the olfactory organ. Earlier in the video, I explained the meaning of olfactory. Anything olfactory is relating to smell and the nose. All right. Now, the olfactory organ is simply the organ of smell. All right. Now, this organ of smell has a receptor, or rather, receptor cells located in the two olfactory epithelia in the nasal cavity of your nose. Okay, now as air passes over the olfactory epithelia, water and fat soluble molecules present there, they are dissolved in the mucous layer covering the epithelia. Now, this in turn give rise to the sensation of smell by stimulation of sensory receptors that send impulses to the brain. Okay, now the organ of smell is located in the antenna of insect. Okay, organ of smell is located in the antenna of insect. That is something you should not forget. Okay, now we have another sense organ. Okay, another sense organ called the tongue. Okay, the tongue. Now, the tongue is a sense organ of taste. All right, the tongue is a sense organ of taste. It has a rough upper surface. All right, this rough upper surface is due to the presence of numerous papillae. All right, numerous papillae. Now, it has group of sensory cells called the taste bud. Group of sensory cells called the taste bud, and this taste bud dey occur on the upper surface of the tongue. Okay, the upper surface of the tongue. Now, the taste buds, they are the bitter bud, the sour bud, the salty bud, and the sweet bud. All right, now on your screen you'll be seeing the areas, okay, the taste areas of the tongue. All right. Okay, let's check another organ, another sense organ called the eyes. Okay, we know the eye is an organ of sight. Okay, has a movable upper and lower eyelid, all right, protecting its surface. Okay, now the eye has a tear gland that lubricates it. The tear gland is called the lacrimal gland. Okay, the lacrimal gland is the tear gland that lubricates the eye. Okay, now it has the iris. All right, the iris is centrally perforated, okay, by an aperture called the pupil. All right, now the lens of the eye is biconvex in shape. All right, if you are very good in your physics, the lens of the eye is biconvex in shape. All right, and it lies behind the iris. Okay, it lies behind it, the iris. Okay, now the margin of the lens is attached to the ciliary muscles by suspensory ligament. Okay, I've explained what ligaments they are and what they do. All right. Now, as you're seeing in your screen, okay, the diagram in your screen, all right, is relating to what I'm saying. Okay. Now, the outer wall of the eyeball, all right, is white and opaque. Okay, sclerotic, it has a sclerotic coat which is transparent in the front to form the cornea. You can see the cornea from the diagram in your screen. All right, now the chamber between the lens and the cornea is filled with a watery fluid called the aqueous humor. Okay, it is called the aqueous humor. You also have another humor which is jelly-like, which has jelly-like substance in it. Okay, filled with jelly-like substance called the vitreous humor. Okay, the innermost coat of the eyeball is the retina. The innermost coat of the eyeball is the retina, and the retina is so important that it is concerned with the reception of light. It is very, very light sensitive. Okay, now the retina contains evenly distributed two types of sensory cells called the rods and the cones. Now, the rods have visual purple or rhodopsin, all right, that is derived from vitamin A, and the cones have iodopsin. Remember, the rods have visual purple or rhodopsin, and the cones have iodopsin. All right. Now, the cones are more concentrated in a small depressed area of the retina called the fovea centralis, which is the most sensory spot, the most sensitive spot rather. Now, the fovea centralis is also called the yellow spot. All right. Now, below the yellow spot is the blind spot. Okay. Now, this blind spot is devoid of sensitive cells, but it is the point at which the optic nerves leaves the eyes. Okay. It is the point at which the optic nerves leaves the eyes. Now, we all have the ability, okay, to move our eye, all right, to alter the focal length of our eye so that far or near objects are brought to a sharp focus on the retina. All right, now that ability is called accommodation of the eye. Okay, it is called the accommodation of the eye, where we where our lens, all right, where our lens can capture far or near objects and bring them to a sharp focus on the retina. All right, now the size of the pupil controls the amount of light that enters the eye. So the bigger the pupil, the bigger the control of the amount of light that enters the eye, and vice versa. All right. Now let's look at some eye deficiency, or sorry, some eye defect rather. Don't mind me. Some eye defect. Okay. We have hypermetropia. Hypermetropia. Hypermetropia is also called long-sightedness. All right, long-sightedness. Now, in this defect, short eyeballs or flat lens with the image are formed at a point behind the retina. Okay, now short eyeball or flat lens with the image formed at a point behind the retina. Now, long-sightedness or hypermetropia can be corrected by the use of glasses fitted with convex lens. So, convex lenses, they are used to correct long-sightedness. All right. Now, short-sightedness is myopia. Short-sightedness, myopia. In myopia, the long eyeballs or two spherical eye lenses, okay, with the image of a distant object is brought to a focus in front of the retina. Now, short-sightedness can be corrected by the use of concave lens. Okay, we have astigmatism and the cylindrical lenses. They are used to control or to correct rather astigmatism. Okay. All right, so the ear is another sense organ, and as you can see in your screen, you can see different parts of the ear. The ear is divided into the outer part, the middle part, and of course the inner ear. Now, the outer part, you can see the ear pinna. All right, the ear pinna, the visible part, excluding the auricle, which is clearly labeled, all right, in your screen there. Now you have the stapes, the incus and the malleus, which forms the middle ear. All right, now the incus is almond shape, The malleus, also called anvil because it has an anvil shape, and the stapes is also called stirrup because it has a stirrup shape. All right. Now you have a very, very important structure in the inner ear called the cochlea. Okay, the cochlea. Now the cochlea takes sound vibrations, all right? It converts sound vibrations to impulses, okay? Converts sound vibrations to impulses. Now you have the auditory tube, which houses the auditory canal. All right. Now this canal has we have the canal running from, okay, running from the outer ear to the eardrum, okay, where sound enters. All right. Now you have the auditory canal running from the outer ear down to the eardrum where sound enters. All right. You have the tympanic membrane. Another name for the tympanic membrane is the eardrum. Now, the eardrum separates the outer ear from the middle ear. Okay, and now this eardrum, it takes sound from the air and it takes the sound down to the malleus. All right, takes the sound down to the malleus. Okay. Now that's all about the ear as well as the sense organs and our video for today. All right. Now don't forget to click the like button, the share button, the subscription button, and of course turn on your notification for more videos from exquisite tutorials. All right. Now don't stop reading, keep on reading. I remain your virtual tutor. You will see me again in the next video, which will cover the remaining part of your JAMB RHEMA.